And so after Mark speaks for a few minutes, we'll have a break until 11:30, and then we'll start over again, maybe with more PDFs. Here you go.
Thank you. And now a word from our sponsor. All right. Hopefully the screen will show. Okay, great. So, matter of fact, I'll take these off. Appreciate the time. I'll make this fairly brief. Are you in presentation mode on the screen there? No. Oh, you are? Doesn't look like it here. Okay. As long as the keys work, I'm good. Okay, so I was asked actually at the table for breakfast this morning, why did Quantum decide to become a consortium member for iRODS? And that's kind of what I want to try to convey here during this 10 minutes or less discussion. Quantum is about a 37, 38-year-old company, and we are very actively involved in a lot of storage platforms, including a high-performance file system that also has capabilities of federating different storage media behind it. And so there's a little bit of overlap that you might think exists between what Quantum does and what iRODS does, but I think what we have found is that we're involved in many customer environments where we actually coexist. So they find value in what iRODS does in addition to what we do. We've actually got a bunch of customers that aren't using iRODS yet that might be good candidates for what iRODS does. And that's really why we decided to join the consortium, because we see that the two solutions can work pretty well together. And that's what I want to try to convey today. So Quantum is a company that, sorry, I'm not seeing screen 2, so I have to kind of expand this a little bit. So Quantum is a company that we actually participate in a lot of industries where we see the need for high performance analysis and work. We're very big in media and entertainment, a lot of research environments, universities, et cetera. And we also have a data management platform where we more manage, how the data gets placed over the life of the data. Less about the type of metadata, and discovery and things like that iRODS does, and I think that's what the opening is for, for the collaboration between the two platforms. Quantum has a pretty extensive portfolio of things. On the left we've got what I've been referring to as our StoreNext-based appliances. That's what I'll talk about today. We've also got disk. Object storage, we offer gateway to cloud, S3 connectors, et cetera, and we have been in the tape business for quite a long time. We've got a market leadership position there as well. And so our customers enjoy from us the ability to manage how data is placed on these various technology platforms for storage, and how that integrates well into their workflow. So the piece that I want to talk about really is, if you look on the left, that's our Xcellis platform. It's based on StoreNext. We've kind of appliance-ized things these days, so that's why we talk about the platform Xcellis, but it's really based on StoreNext file system. And with that, what that allows us to do is provide a high-performance front end to the data, and that can either act as just a cache, or it can actually be petabytes of high-performance storage where you do some pretty substantial analysis. And then integrated with that is just policy-based management of where the data lives over time and how copies of the data might get created upon ingest. So it integrates data protection capabilities, it integrates archive, long-term retention, makes multiple copies, that sort of thing, and that's what you see on the right side of the slide, where we can, basically connect, and we basically federate the file space, across all those media types. And we present all that as a single namespace. So depending on, it doesn't matter where the particular file that you're looking for is, you'll see it presented as part of the namespace. If it happens to be on one of the archive tiers and you ask to retrieve it, StoreNext will automatically go grab it, bring it onto the primary disk space, and give it to you for analysis. And so a lot of customers, they may stage it ahead of time. If I know it's going to take an hour to get my data off of, out of the cloud or off of tape or something like that. I might stage it the day before and that sort of thing. Or if it's sitting on object storage, which is more of a nearline access, I might have a little bit more latency, but I'll get it back, immediately. So anyway, so that's what StoreNext does. That's what Quantum's appliance called Xcellis does. And so how that would fit into an iRODS environment, this is kind of our vision of how things are probably going to work for a lot of our customers, is customers might have a bunch of local environments. And I've talked to a few of you already, and it sounds like a lot of this is already going on. So I may have what we call a workflow where I've got the combination of my high-performance storage with my back-end tiers. Those are automatically getting managed based on something that I've been doing for years in my environment. But now I also have the need to bring my workflow in with a more enterprise-wide type of workflow. I might want to do more discovery across all of my various workflows that exist in my environment, and that's where the layers of iRODS can really add to that. And so, of course, as we've joined the consortium recently, we've also can announce that we've completed testing of our compatibility. We've the StoreNext appliance that we have, I think, was tested with NFS. We've also got fiber channel interface. We've got InfiniBand, iSCSI, things like that. So you can connect to it in any number of ways. But this is how I think that a bunch of our integrated environments might satisfy some local workflows. And I'll talk about what characteristics might make StoreNext the right answer for that under an iRODS umbrella for a much broader set of environments. So I'm going to have to read this slide, and I can't see my slides in front of me, so I apologize for that. I'm just going to come out where I can see it a little bit. Yeah, okay. So anyway, matter of fact, I'm going to come over. Sorry for the camera. Okay, so what the complementary value for Xcellis is that it optimizes, so you basically create a storage pool that optimizes performance and cost, and you automate the placement of data there. So that's one of the things that we do. Of course, iRODS can do that as well, but you've got more simplified policies as opposed to the comprehensive set of capabilities that was talked about earlier. I mentioned it federates storage tiers into a single namespace, so I think you all get that. It maintains access and visibility to all that. You've got these local policies, which are really storage-based policies. They're not so much about discovery. They're really about how do I manage where my files are placed over the life of them. And a lot of them can be time-based. They can be location-based as well. So just a lot of more simplified policies with a GUI that you can interact with to set those policies. And of course, we can host multiple namespaces. So even though we federate into single namespace, you can actually have multiple namespaces with, still take advantage of all the same type of tiering and federation. And I talked about the fact that we have a whole host of different types of interfaces that we can present ourselves with. Okay, now I'm not in the same screen. Okay, so. So what we've got then, just a little bit of a graph diagram. Sorry for folks over there, but you can see. So we've got Xcellis on the left under an iRODS environment, and iRODS clients can access StoreNext now through the normal registered interface through iRODS, but you also have direct access capabilities. So you can have people that have the local workflow accessing all the files locally through their established workflow process if they want, or you can have iRODS workflows working over on top of that, and just have those two play very nicely with each other. Sorry for the back and forth. Easier than trying to figure out how to get my screen to work. Okay, so and this is really the closing slide. So why would somebody want to look at implementing this duality, this StoreNext based set of appliances in an iRODS zone? Number one, if you have a high-performance workflow, of course, we have the appliance, an appliance that can provide the very high-performance storage, for a lot of the research needs and demands that happen there. If you have a set of users, and we do see this quite a bit, you may have a community of users that really don't have the strong IT staff or support to really put together all of the iRODS pieces that they need at a local level. And you may not need that either. So if I just want a set of simple policies where I can have my various tiers of storage managed in the back end with some simple policies, tend to be time-based, managing the protection of my data and the long-term retention of it. That sounds great. And we also, of course, integrate with tape. And so typically, as I understand it with iRODS, you need some tool typically to be able to access tape technology as well, which is certainly, one of the key technologies for long-term data retention. So we see if you've got environments that have that, then all of that fits well into the type of environment that we talked about, where you've got your local-based workflows. You can have multiple of those through an environment, and then you can federate all those through iRODS for discovery and other types of broad management. So that is pretty much the vision. That's why Quantum wanted to join iRODS, and I think we've got a lot of customers that are going to start putting the two together, starting with one place or the other. So thanks for your time.